Hi guys, 18 Dapper here and welcome to the first video of the 2024-25 season, and it is of course my League 2 predictions where we look through all 24 teams, put them where we think they're going to be in the table, and I brace myself for an absolute hammering in the comments section. So with that being said, let's get into this video. So guys, welcome to the League 2 2024-25 predictions. 24 teams all hoping and praying for a positive season, but unfortunately two teams will end up going down. One or two teams will narrowly miss out on playoffs. There'll be 4 teams in the lottery of the playoffs and 3 teams promoted come May, I think the season finishes. So there's a long way to go. There's a lot of football to be played, and this is the point of the season where it's anybody's game. But I'm going to try and predict where everybody finishes. So in this video we will predict all 24 teams' positions. Like I say, I was massively miles out last season on my predictions. Clearly didn't know my League 2 football last season. I'm hoping for a better performance from myself this year, so we will see at the end of the season how close or how far away I was once again. But yeah, after we've predicted all 24 teams, I'll give you a brief overview of what to expect from my channel this season. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. Over 3,500 subscribers, it'd be great to get that over 4,000 by the end of the season. So yeah, stick around, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all the usual good stuff. And obviously in this video, whichever club you support, get it in the comments down below and let me know why you think I'm miles away with your team's predicted league finish this season. So that's enough rambling on. Let's get started on the 2024-25 predictions. So here we have it, the map of the teams in League 2. A fair spread across the country. Looking at that, you've obviously got Carlisle, the furthest north team, Gillingham the furthest south, so that's a long old trip. But yeah, decent scattering across the country. We will get the table up on the left hand side, and as normal, we do the tried and tested method. We'll go through the teams alphabetically, so we're not going to start at the bottom and work our way up, we're not going to start at the top and work our way down. So literally we fill the table up as we go through the clubs alphabetically. So starting with Accrington Stanley. Last season predicted you guys to be 15th, you finished 17th, and I've unfortunately predicted you to drop a little bit this season. Reason for that, you've lost Lee, Pritchard, Nolan. Could be a tough season without Coleman as well, your first full season without that kind of stability that Accrington Stanley's had for so many years. I think the addition of Love at right back's decent, but I can just see a tough season coming and a potential relegation fight throughout the season. But I think you've got enough to survive, but only just. I've got you guys in 21st. On to AFC Wimbledon, we jump up the table a little bit on this one. Last season I had you guys in 17th, you finished 10th, a very positive season last season. And for me, some very good business this summer. Piggott on loan, Hippolyte and O'Toole, I think are very good additions at this level. But potential hits this summer, Curtis and a few others leaving. But I think with Johnny Jackson in charge, started to get Wimbledon playing really well and a really positive season last season, as I said. And I think potentially push on and break into the playoffs this season. So I've got you guys in 6th. On to Barrow. It's such a tough team to predict. I predicted 12th last season, and you're in around the playoffs for the majority of the season, then tailed off towards the end, finishing in 8th. But it's just seeing if Clements can continue that great work that was put in before. Some good players that helped Barrow kind of tick over the last couple of seasons and have moved on, with little in the way of incomings as well. So I think it could be a tough season, and a team that have probably been punching above the weight for quite a while could be in for a bit of a tough season. So I've got you guys in 18th. On to Bradford, another team that kind of shouldn't be in this division based on the size of the club that they are, but it's been relatively uninspiring during this summer window, in my opinion. And it leads me to think that it could be another below par season, and one where Bradford fans, the expectation is there for a club that size, and they're just not achieving those expectations enough for me. I think they should be much higher, but I can see another disappointing season for the Bantams coming in, and I've got you guys in 10th this season. Predicted second last season, you finished 9th. Can't see you doing much better than that this season with the additions that you made over the summer. On to Bromley. So this is the first of like a clump of teams that I've not really watched because they were either the division below or the division above last season. So it's going to be pretty tough kind of placing them in the table because I don't know that much about them. But I think with Bromley, they've got to try and kind of ride that crest of a wave. They've still got the nucleus of the team that did well in the National League last season, so I think they've probably got enough about them to survive, but it's going to be a tough season for them. Having said that, there could be a massive surprise package and do really well, but I just think with the other teams in and around them, I just think they will survive. But I've got them in 22nd. It's like I say, it's a tough one to call because I don't know a great deal about them. But looking at the business, like I say, the majority of players that did well for them last season are still around, and the jump from National League to League Two isn't that vast anymore. So yeah, I think they'll hold their own, and we'll see how they do this season. But I've just had to go with my gut, and I've gone 22nd for Bromley. The next team that I didn't watch much of last season because we're in League One was Carlisle. Finished 24th with 30 points and went down with a bit of a whimper really. 11 points behind the nearest rival come the end of the season, so it's always tough dropping down a division and bouncing straight back. We saw a couple of teams do it last season. We struggled the first season that we came back down. I think it could be similar for a number of the teams that came down last season from League One, and I think Carlisle will potentially just miss out on playoffs. They've got Charlie White, could be dominant at this level, but it just depends. He's obviously got his health issues when he was at Wigan. It's just if they can get over that relegation quickly, there's obviously going to be a hangover from losing playoffs or getting relegated, and it's how a team reacts to that in the new season. So we'll see. I think if they start well, there's potential of breaking into that top 7, but yeah, it could be one of those seasons where they just miss out and have to go again next season. So I've got Carlisle in 8th. Moving on to Cheltenham, another team that came down from League One. I don't think these are going to do quite as well as Carlisle. I've got you guys in 15th. Finished on 44 points in 21st last season, so they were the best of the 4 that came down from League One. There's been plenty of movement in the window, 14 in, 16 out. So not only do they have to adjust to life in League Two, they also have to kind of gel a team very quickly. So it could be a season of stabilising for Cheltenham, and that's why I've gone kind of mid-table. And I think it's going to be a tight division. So if you think you're a little low, there might be a point in it, a couple of points in it where maybe 10th to 17th, something like that. There's only a few points between it, so yeah, it's a very tough division to predict. But I've gone with Cheltenham in 15th, adjusting to life in League Two, and gelling a relatively new team together, stabilising and hopefully pushing on in the 2025-26 season. On to Chesterfield, another team that I don't know too much about, although they won the National League last season, 98 points, absolutely battered it. Gordon, Dunkley, Madden, great additions, all have EFL experience, and they're just going to add to a team that comfortably won the National League last season. And you see so often teams that get promoted from the National League push on in League Two, and I think Chesterfield could be another one of those. I've got you in 5th into the playoffs, and yeah, I think that positivity and that momentum from winning the division last season, you see it so often, do so well. You look at Wrexham last season. I know Notts County didn't quite do as well as what people thought they would, but I think Chesterfield could be the one this season that come up from the National League and do well in League Two. So I've got you guys in 5th. Now, the next one, Colchester. Last season I got some absolute hammering from Colchester fans because I had you down as 23rd. Getting relegated, you finished in 22nd, just survived. I'm hoping you're going to enjoy this one a little bit more. I have gone 9th for Colchester. I rate the Cowleys. I think a solid pre-season with the squad. I think they could get a decent run of form, come in and turn the negative form around. Kind of flirted with relegation for so many seasons, but I think this could be the season where it turns around for you guys. I think the loss of McGeehan and Akinde could hurt a little, but you seem to have recruited fairly well with Jack Payne, Harry Anderson, Lyle Taylor. Those three jumped out when I was looking, so it could be a good season on the way and potentially break into the playoffs, which would be a huge turnaround from the difficulty that you had last season, just avoiding the drop. I think the two teams below you in Forest Green and Sutton didn't really want to stay in the division by the looks of it. So yeah, fortunate that last season that there was two teams much worse than you, but I think Colchester potentially lined up for a very good season, so I've got you in ninth this season, so I'm hoping for some more positive Colchester comments down below. Moving on to Crewe, yeah, I don't like Crewe. They knocked us out in the semi-final. They did, to be fair, they did really well last season. Predicted you guys in 20th. You finished in 6th. A fantastic year. Turned the 2-0 deficit around in 16 minutes in the second leg at Doncaster. I wasn't at the game. I was on my honeymoon, so I could recover pretty well in a hammock and with a cocktail. So it wasn't a defeat that hurt too much, but yeah, when I got back, it was back to earth with a bump for sure. Just didn't have enough in the final to oversee Crawley, and this is what I mentioned earlier with kind of potential hangover from coming down from League One or potentially losing out in the playoffs. But I think Vogel and Hemmings coming in does give Crewe a bit of firepower, but Adebisi, Offord and Nevitt played huge parts last season, so they could be missed, and those three leaving is a reason why I think it'll be a bit of a tougher season for Crewe, finishing in 11th. And on to the team that beat in the playoffs, and my team, Doncaster Rovers. Normally I am very conservative with my predictions for my club. I went with 10th last season, we finished 5th. We had a fantastic end to the season. I think it was 10 or 11 wins on the bounce. After a poor start, we were in a relegation battle for the majority of the season due to injuries and a few other reasons really. But I'm coming into this season with optimism, which has been missing for large periods or recent years as a Donny fan. I think the recruitment that we've done this summer in Sabara, Gibson, Billy Sharp, and retaining players like Ironside at the minute, Bailey, Molyneux, I think we've got a squad that is hugely capable of doing well in this division. So I've gone with 3rd for the Rovers. I'm hoping that I'm right with this one. I don't want to do playoffs again, hate the playoffs, but I think we have got the capability of finishing in the top 3 this season if we get that good start, and it's key that we do get a good start and don't start like we did last season. I think it was 8 games without a win at the start of the season. So yeah, positive start, a bit more consistency, and I believe that we can make that top 3. And watching us against Middlesbrough in the pre-season friendly recently, there's just an energy, there's a desire, there's a hunger. Body language looks really positive, and it's been a while since we've seen that from a Doncaster team. So yeah, really looking forward to this season, and I hope that prediction comes true. So Donny in 3rd would be very nice. On to Fleetwood now, another team that dropped down in 22nd last season on 43 points, and they've lost Jaden Stockley. That could be a blow for them. And Charlie Adam, relatively inexperienced as a manager, which could have a part to play in where Fleetwood finish this season. And similar to Cheltenham really, I just think it's going to be a season of stabilising in League 2, building for next season, and potentially having a push the season after. So I've gone mid-table for Fleetwood in 14th, but again, tough division to call this year. I may be well off with a number of these. On to Gillingham. Last season predicted you guys in 4th and you finished 12th, and I've gone with the same prediction again. I think 4th with potential of breaking into the top 3. It's all about consistency in this division, so I think if Gillingham get that consistency and Doncaster don't, quite easily flip those two around. But I just think potentially, I watched Gills in the Bloods predictions yesterday, and I think he hit the nail on the head with Gillingham. I think there's a couple of gaps in the squad which kind of limits them from getting that top three, but there's plenty of time in the window left for that to change. But yeah, I think Mark Bonner having a full pre-season will be helpful in finding kind of that right balance that he's wanting in the squad. Good additions of Nevitt and Nolan from fellow League Two clubs as well, and Aaron Rowe from Huddersfield does jump out, so they've added some quality into the squad. So I don't think they'll be finishing as low down as what they did last season. I think they've got a real good potential of making a push for finishing in the playoffs, if not breaking the top three for sure. So Gillingham, I've got you guys in fourth. On to Grimsby. Predicted 13th last season, finished 21st, had a bit of a tough end to the season, but they're another club that's not done a great deal in the window so far. But I do believe that David Artell's a very good manager that got a lot from his crew team when he was there without a great deal of resources. So I think he could do the same at Grimsby. So I've got you guys better in what he did last season, finishing in 19th. I think the loss of Abo Issa could be damaging for Grimsby. He was very positive on the ball. So yeah, tough player to replace. So I think slightly better than last season. Artell will start to get the club going in the right direction. 19th for Grimsby. On to Harrogate, a team again a little bit like Barrow that seem to be punching above the weight. Serial overperformers in League Two. Harrogate. I had you guys in 22nd last season. You finished in 13th. I do think it's going to be a tougher season. I've got you in 20th this year, purely because, like I say, just serial overperformers. Simon Weaver will certainly be hoping that you continue to do that. And to be fair, the bulk of the squad remains from last season. A couple of shrewd additions in Ellis Taylor and Duke McKenna. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that Harrogate will, on paper, overperform once again and finish much higher than I've got you predicted. I just think that run of luck or form will come to an end at some point. So I think it'll be a 20th place finish for Harrogate this season. Sorry. On to MK Dons. So these, for me, are my title winners in the 2024-25 season. Predicted third last season, finished fourth, but it looks like you're having a proper good go at it this season, and I believe that will pay off. Some quality signings with only a few key names leaving, but for me it seems like you've replaced them with just as good, if not better, players. So I think you're really well set for a push at the top three, if not the title this season. So for me, MK Dons will be 2024-25 League Two champions. So we've only really got 2nd and 7th to fill up for promotion, and we've still got the 2 relegation spots. So if you haven't heard your club yet, you may want to feel a little bit nervous. And if your team is Morecambe, unfortunately I've got you guys in 23rd. Last season predicted 19th, finished 15th, but off field just seems all over the place at the minute at Morecambe. I'm obviously an outsider looking in, so if you're a Morecambe fan and you disagree with this, please get it in the comments down below. I think Derek Adams has just got a huge job on to keep Morecambe in the league this season. Loads of players left, plenty of players have come in, but none of those players really, when I was looking at them, jumped out of the screen to me. So I think the quality of the squad isn't really there, the depth isn't there. I think it could lead to a really tough season for Morecambe, and I've got them in 23rd. Staying at the wrong end of the table, we move on to Newport County. I'm sorry, but I've got you guys in 24th. Reason for that, I had you in 14th last season, you finished 18th. You've got a manager that's untested at EFL, and it's going to go one of two ways, isn't it? It's going to be an absolute masterstroke and Newport are going to do well, or it could potentially be Newport's downfall. With the players that have left and the players that have arrived, I don't think you've improved the squad all that much, and it could be heading similar to Morecambe to a very, very tough season. But similar to the top end of the table, where I think there'll only be a couple of points in it, I think the bottom of the table will be tough to call as well. I don't think there'll be a team that goes down without a fight. I think it'll be very close until the final couple of games of the season, but my money's going on Morecambe and Newport County to go down. Sorry if you're a fan of any of those two teams, but get it in the comments why you believe that I'm incorrect and why you think that you'll survive, and I'm happy to hold my hands up like I did with Colchester last season. Moving on to Notts County, a team that did well for parts of the season last season, but did dreadfully in other parts. Predicted 7th last season for you guys. You finished 14th, and for me, it was just the goals that you guys shipped last season, far too many. And this summer, it looks like you've focused on the defence in the window. You've added players in each of the positions across the back four, left backs, right backs. I think there's about 5 centre backs been added. So I think you'll have shored up defensively. So if you can produce as much and create as much as what you did last season, it's going to be tough scoring as much with Langstaff leaving. But you've still got Jody Jones and players in and around the attacking final third that have got the quality to put the ball away, especially when you create as much as what Notts County do. I think you'll be in for a much more positive season. So I've reverted back to my prediction from last season in 7th. I think you'll break the playoffs once again. I've got Notts County in 7th. On to Port Vale, and this fills up the final of the top 3 spaces. Recruitment's been superb. Finished in 23rd last season on 41 points, but you look at a potential force under Darren Moore. Byers is an unreal signing at this level. Crowsdale and Ronan Curtis in the midfield is scary to think about. With the recruitment that you guys have done, I don't think there'll be any hangover from relegation last season. Darren Moore, we know all about him. He's a very good manager. He's a decent coach. His style of play is not to everybody's taste, but I think he'll get a tune from the players that you've recruited. So I think it's going to be a really positive season for Port Vale. And yeah, I've got you in 2nd. You could well take the title from MK Dons. Like I say, it's going to be very tight at the top. I don't think anybody will run away with it. Just like at the bottom, I don't think anybody will go down without a whimper, or without any fight, sorry. So yeah, that makes up my top 3. MK Dons, Port Vale, Donny. No particular order, but that's what I'm locking in. Gillingham, Chesterfield, Wimbledon and Notts County is the playoffs again. No particular order, but that's what I will lock in. It's tough to call. Moving on to Salford, a team that I always expect to be kind of up and around in the mix of the playoffs, but have fallen away recently, and I don't think it'll be much better this coming season. Cole Stockton can obviously score goals. We've seen what he can do in the league above. So yeah, he only really replaces Matt Smith though, so I don't think they've really improved the squad all that much. So they finished in 20th last season. I predict 5th. I think it's going to be a very similar season to last season, so I've gone 16th for Salford. I think Carl Robinson has just got a job on to really get a tune from this Salford team. So yeah, 16th for Salford this season. On to Swindon, another team where I predicted fairly high last season in 9th and finished 19th, so a disappointing season for them. Harry Smith is a decent target man from Sutton at this level, but I think he can make you a little bit one-dimensional if you're not careful. And I don't think they've massively improved on last season's squad, so I don't think they'll massively improve on last season's performances, which I don't think will sit well with the Swindon faithful. But I'm going 17th for Swindon Town's finish, but I think a club of that size with that fan base, they should be aiming much higher, and there's potential in there that they can, but I'm going for 19th this season for 17th, sorry, not 19th, 17th for Swindon this season. And that leaves the final 2. We start with Tranmere, smack bang in the middle of the table, these two, 13th and 12th, Tranmere and Walsall. But yeah, I've gone Tranmere 13th because I predicted 11th last season, they finished in 16th. But I think Nigel Atkins had them playing really good football towards the end of last season. I think it can get them going again this year. I just don't think there's enough quality within the squad or throughout the squad to break into the top half or threaten the playoffs. But you never know with a manager of Atkins' calibre. I think all it takes is a bit of belief and like I say, consistency in this league, and it could change a lot. And I think 13th to 7th in League 2, there's not many points between that, so they could threaten the playoffs, but I think it'll be a solid season in 13th for Tranmere. And then finally, the last of the 24. Thank you if you've stuck around for the 25 minutes that we've been going. Sorry if you're a Walsall fan, having to wait until this point to see where I put you. Unfortunately, I've put you bang in the middle of the table in 12th. Predicted 16th last season, finished 11th. And again, it's just about kind of the quality throughout the squad and the depth of the squad, which is my reason for putting Walsall mid-table. Charlie Lakin, we know a bit about him, can be decent on his day in the middle of the park. Adoma was a bit of a surprise signing, but I think he might do a job at this level. 36 years old, but older players can often thrive lower down the table because the kind of footballing brain never loses you. Your legs might go a little bit, but I think a lot of players towards the end of their career make up for it through positioning and just kind of reading the game. So I think Adoma might do well at Walsall this season, but I think losing Hutchinson is a big blow, which could bring them to another mid-table finish. So there's my reason for putting Walsall in 12th. And that is that. 26 minutes done. That's my locked in table. MK Dons, Port Vale, Donny, 3 teams promoted. Gillingham, Chesterfield, AFC Wimbledon and Notts County fighting it out in the lottery of the playoffs. Carlisle, Colchester, potentially Bradford, Crewe and Walsall narrowly missing out on the playoffs. And then it's any one of Newport, Morecambe, Bromley, Accrington, Harrogate and Grimsby, who I think will be in that relegation battle down at the bottom. But I've locked in Morecambe and Newport as the 2 teams to go down. But as I've said throughout this video, get your comments in the section down below. Let me know which team you support and let me know why you think I'm a mile off with your team's final league finish prediction, and I will take it on board and I will hold my hands up and apologise at the end of the season if I've got it massively wrong, and I'll reply offering you some humble pie if I've got it spot on. But we will see. Coming up on the channel though, same as last season, so match previews for all league games and cup games of the ones which I'll be attending for the cups. Match day vlogs again for all the matches that I intend in league or cup, and then we do the 72 review live streams. We've now got the 72_review on X. The link will be in the description down below. Go ahead and follow us on there so that we can let you know when each video is coming up, because we're trying to do it every Sunday, but obviously life does get in the way sometimes, so we will let you know if a Sunday live stream isn't happening. We've got the predictions on there for all 3 divisions. We look at Championship, League 1 and League 2, like I say, almost every Sunday, so get involved with that. It's a decent community, everybody has a good bit of banter, it's safe, it's respectful, and that's the way that we want to keep it. But we also want the show to grow as well and involve as many people as we can. Get the comments in. It does drive conversation in those live streams as well, and sometimes it just sets us up after a really poor weekend. It cheers us up a little bit and gets us ready for the week ahead. So yeah, it'd be nice to see some of you guys drop in on the live streams on a Sunday. And that being said, that takes us to the end of this League 2 2024-25 predictions. If you haven't already, stick a big thumbs up on the video for us. As I say, comments in the section down below. I do like reading them. I do try to reply to every single one of them, and I want to see why I've got your team wrong. So yeah, I'm looking forward to comments in this one. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of the future content or the upcoming content this season. Hopefully we push on to 4,000 subscribers and the channel grows and you all enjoy the content that I produce. And all that's left for me to say is thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.